Hi there, welcome to the next episode of Illustrated City. My name is Jakub and on this channel we focus on art, people and cities. Today we are staying in Australia, but we will still have to catch a flight. Join me on the trip to the home of Tasmanian devils, beautiful scenery and original art. If you like this episode, please leave a comment and a like below. And if you wish to join another trip, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting a lot of extra photos and videos on Instagram, so if you are keen to see more, find me there too. Thanks a lot and see you in Launceston.
Hi, I'm Katie Barron, and this is Illustrated City Launceston. Before we go, I just wanted to show you this building, Henty House, because it's one of the few Brutalist architecture buildings in Launceston, and it's really unique. It stands out a lot. The architectural style here is completely different normally, but this building just is kind of this perfect, huge obelisk inside Civic Square. So I always like to show people before we go. So this is Tinka.
All right.
Tinka was the first place that I ever exhibited work in Tasmania publicly. They have an awesome exhibition program and they highlight different artists all the time. So when I first moved here, I had a series of paintings that were hung on the walls here, and it was like the beginning of my professional journey in Australia as an artist. Let's stop in here and grab something to eat before we go to the park. Yeah, so it's actually really cool because right next to it here, this is still like a brass manufacturing business. So they do custom brass fittings.
Yeah.
And so I guess they leased out the old part or half the building, I don't know. I'm originally from Canada. I grew up near Toronto, but I've lived in the mountains for the last 10 years, so that kind of feels like home to me. So I lived there for 10 years and met my partner, who's Australian. And then during the pandemic, we just kind of got antsy, like just started getting bored, you know, I think like a lot of people did, just stuck in the house. So we just started thinking of other places we could go and move, and we had to cast the net really wide because he's Australian and I'm Canadian, and they're both huge countries, and you had so many options. And somehow we landed on Tasmania as like the perfect in-between. It's in Australia, but it's not as hot. It's like a little bit more like Canada. And we moved down here and didn't know a soul and just kind of settled in, which was a bit rough in the beginning, but made some friends pretty quickly with the climbing community. And
when was that?
We moved in 2022.
Okay.
So yeah,
So quite recent.
quite recent. 2.5 years ago, I think, was when we moved in the winter. Yeah. When we came to Launceston, I was comparing it back to home a lot and just trying to think of what's the same and what's different. And it's a bigger city than I'm used to living in, which is kind of funny, even though it's really tiny. It just is a little bit more, but it's still so small that it has all this familiarity of like a small town. So for me, it feels like the perfect combo of opportunity and then like comfort and quietness, which is like exactly what I need to make my work, I think. So it just immediately kind of felt really inspired. Like it just seems perfect. It's big enough that there's always something exciting going on for my tiny little life. And it's small enough that you can actually do really exciting things. Like if you think of something that's a little bit unique, you can be the only person in Launceston doing it quite easily. So this is one of the spots that I like to come in Launceston just to kind of relax and find a bit of inspiration. And if I have friends or family visiting, I always bring them over here because it's just really beautiful. And it's like a little tropical oasis, especially in the winter when the rest of the city is pretty cold. It's always like nice and colorful and bright in here. It was a husband and wife duo that tattooed my arm. So all the color was done by the wife and all of the black and gray was done by the husband, Jesse James. He still tattoos in Canada. And while I was getting it done, there was an exhibition on in our nearby town in Banff, Alberta, and it was about fringe arts. And so they were looking for a promo image for this big exhibition, and the photographer came to the studio while I was getting this done. And so the cover photo for the exhibition was my arm and them tattooing it. And then in a funny roundabout way, when I had work in an exhibition here at Queen Victoria Museum and Gallery, QVMAG, one of the paintings that was included in that exhibition was my arm, my tattooed arm, holding some jewelry that I had made out of candy. And at the end of the exhibition, the museum opted to acquire, so to purchase the painting to have in their permanent collection. So now my arm is kind of tied to two different cultural institutions on two opposite sides of the planet. And it's awesome because it's my arm, but it's not my artwork, it's the tattooer's artwork. So I kind of really like that it's like collaborative in so many ways. We're here at the QVMAG, which is the Queen Victoria Museum and Art Gallery in Launceston. And this is a museum that I worked with in 2023 as part of the RISE program. I was lucky enough to get chosen as one of 10 Tasmanian emerging artists that they selected for this exhibition. And I had some paintings in that show, so that was really the beginning of, you could say, like the professional phase of my art career in Tasmania. So I really owe QVMAG a debt of gratitude, and I keep working with them. I teach workshops at QVMAG sometimes and try to keep involved where I can. And this is the Discovery Collection 2023-2024. So these are pieces that were recently acquired by the museum. Some are fine art, modern paintings and things like that. Some are older objects. And the exhibition is curated selection of a little bit of what they have acquired. So not everything that they gathered in those years, but just a select kind of curated bunch. Art Rage is an exhibition that QVMAG does every year, and it's celebrating works by selected Tasmanian high school or college students, so that's year 11 and 12. And the curators will go around the state and they'll look at hundreds and hundreds of artworks by tons of students all over the state, and they'll select down a certain few to display as particularly interesting or showing promise. So it's always really exciting for those students who are involved. And this year is actually 30 years of Art Rage, so the exhibition this year not only has this year's students, but a little bit of a selection of previous students as well, with a bit of info on them and what they've gone on to do. Some are full-time practicing artists, some have found their way in completely different industries, but it's a really nice kind of way to look back on Art Rage, what it's done in the last 30 years, and kind of how it affects people's trajectories in terms of their art career and what they go on to do. Hang on a sec. We actually have to go back to town hall. We've got to meet somebody.
Welcome to the City of Launceston Town Hall. Well, thanks for coming and spending some time here in Launceston. So Launceston's the third oldest city in all of Australia, and because of that we're really lucky to have beautiful old buildings that you would have seen all around the city. So that's our built heritage. We've got some really strong codes and some strong planning rules around ensuring that we retain that and we keep that as a part of our identity. We're also a UNESCO accredited city of gastronomy. So gastronomy is all about food and wine, and we have such great produce here. We're a really creative city. So not only through our gastronomy, but also, as you know, through our arts and culture. We're really looking at continuing that vibrancy and looking at more spaces, particularly when it comes to like our street art, and finding ways in which we can engage our artistic community is really important, because I don't want to be a part of a council that's like, no, stop doing that. It's about bring that in. If it's graffiti and tagging, we want to like encourage people to do that in the right way and to learn and to flourish in their own artistic expressions, because we know people like to express themselves through their art, and whether that's something that they do on canvas or in sculpture or whatever through, you know, dramatic movement. Yeah, we want to be able to help encourage that. One of the really lucky things from a city council point of view is that we own our museum. We've got millions of objects that are held in the QVMAG, and it's the biggest collection in the Southern Hemisphere for bits and pieces. Like, because we're such an old city, we've been really great at collecting not only our own stuff, but lots of different things from around the world. We've got some great sister city relationships around the world as well. And it's something that's really flourishing. We've had year on year over 150,000 people come through those doors, which is the highest numbers we've ever had. So yeah, really, really encouraging for our creative spaces. If I had to have a favourite place in Launceston, it would have to be a sort of generic answer, which is the Cataract Gorge. Not only because of its unique natural values to only be a couple of minutes away from the CBD, but also because of the ability for it to transform from a recreational space where people and their families can go and swim and picnic and eat and whatnot, or also how it can transform into a festival state where we can put stages and have thousands of people there celebrating through entertainment, whether that's through food and wine, or whether that's also through music. So it's got to be the Cataract Gorge. Thanks guys, thanks for coming to say hello at the City of Launceston.
Hey, we're here in Mowbray. Come on in and check out the studio. I'm an oil painter and I paint photorealistic paintings, usually depicting like foods and toys and kind of childhood elements. So they're often really colorful. The foods that I do paint are usually sweet, just because that seems to appeal to me more. And part of the process is that I usually make the actual item I'm gonna paint. So if it's cake, I'll bake the cake, I'll decorate it, and that's really where like most of the creativity happens. So I decorate that cake exactly how I want it, and I get the lighting and I shoot it, like I photograph it in my studio, because I'm really particular about how the light falls on things. So I really want to make sure that it's exactly as I have it envisioned in my head. And it's usually referencing something from my childhood, or perhaps like a really well-loved recipe from Australian childhoods. Just kind of depends on the work that I'm making. And once I have it photographed, because it's cake and it doesn't really last forever, I usually share it with the community. So I'll bring it to my friends and family and we'll all eat it. And try to make something that looks really real until you get up close and you can see all these gobs of paint and all these details that kind of give it away as a painting. Growing up in Canada, we had the Jell-O cookbook, so that's like a branded cookbook that was really common in my household anyway, probably lots of other Canadian kids. And it's full of really colorful recipes that I kind of just became obsessed with. I don't know how long I spent looking at this book as a kid, but it just really appealed to me for some reason. It felt like I wanted to not only make all of the foods, but like have them as objects in my house. There's something about jelly, it's just so colorful and fun. So that was kind of like the beginning of my obsession with food, and colorful food in particular, was this Jell-O cookbook. And then when I came to Australia, obviously Jell-O brand cookbooks aren't a thing here, so I wasn't really able to kind of tap into that same tradition. But in a way, I found a better thing, which was the Women's Weekly Children's Birthday Cake book. And this book was one that a lot of Aussie kids grew up with, so not me, but tons of my friends. And it seems like almost every household had it. It's like this awesome cookbook that was made by the Australian Women's Weekly, and it was just children's birthday cakes, and it seems like so many families every year made a cake from this book. So lately I've been making a lot of the cakes from this book and then painting them. And it's been really nice because when I make the cakes, I go and I share them with people, so everybody gets really excited, especially when they see kind of classic cakes that they really remember from their childhood. So these are some of the candies that I used in the paintings. They're different every time, it just depends on the painting, but they're actually like little jelly rings in this one. That's what she's in as a little floaty. And then these are the little chocolate sticks that go all around her little hot tub swimming pool cake. So that's kind of part of the fun, is like finding the right candies that match the painting, and they're also delicious. So in September of this year, I had an exhibition in collaboration with St. John here in this back space called Green. It had a series of paintings. This one wasn't in it. All of the paintings were green, and they kind of all explored like decadence and decay. So like 1920s, this idea of like roaring 20s over the top, but then kind of mixed with the decay of like post-consumerism. It was just a big party. It was really fun.
Hey, I'm Monty. I work at St. John Craft Beer, and Katie approaches us with an idea to run a full exhibition in the back room where we are right now. And so we do a green themed exhibition showcasing some of Katie's work. 90s, 20s themed cocktails and food and costumes and music, and it's great vibes, great time, and I'm still so happy that we can have some of Katie's work here with us today, and still such a fun time, and Katie's a great gal.
On our way to the next point of interest, we come across the Polish Pioneers Monument. As someone with a Polish background, it makes me proud to see that we played a meaningful role in Launceston's history.
When I first moved to Launceston, I lived in this house. It was a really cool spot because it looks over the whole city. It's super historic. It's one of the oldest houses in Launceston. I think it was before 1900 it was built. It was actually in some old oil paintings that I found in QVMAG when we were there, when we first moved here. So it was really lucky that we landed it as a rental, and it kind of like set the stage for the rest of our time in Launceston so far. This is Cataract Gorge. There's like this awesome paved walkway that goes all the way to First Basin. It's just such a nice place to come at the end of the day, relax, take a little walk. There's often boat tours, seals, birds, wildlife, and it's like right outside the city. Like there's no reason not to just kind of wander through. So when we first moved to Launceston, I really wanted to get that house that we ended up getting right on the gorge because my partner and I are both pretty into rock climbing, and the gorge is full of awesome climbing. It's on dolerite, this kind of unusual rock type, and it's right outside the city, and it's really well known for its crack climbing, which is like a particular style of rock climbing. So this is actually one of the rock climbs right here. So we're literally right on the path that goes to the First Basin, and the climb is on the path. So you couldn't really get closer to home. And those metal brackets that are in the rock there, that's part of the rock climb. So there's a few around that use those metal brackets, and then there's loads more that you just put your own equipment into the rock to climb. So there's lots to do climbing-wise in the gorge. It's kind of just up to your imagination. So this is a really nice natural spot you can come to right outside Launceston, Cataract Gorge. But if you're after more Tassie wilderness or you have more time, Cradle Mountain's really popular. That's a day trip out of Lonnie, a couple hours drive, so not too far. But it's like world famous for being super beautiful, and the Overland Track is one of the most popular hikes we have, probably the most popular. 6 days backcountry in the wilderness of Tasmania, just immersed in national park. So that's one of like Tasmania's biggest claim to fame in terms of like natural beauty, and it is stunning. So this is Penny Royals. It's a kind of an amusement park, but it's a really beautiful, interesting one, I think. So there's lots of activities here. There's restaurants, there's beautiful waterfall, and there's a couple zip lines as well. So lots of families come here, tourists. It's just like a well-kept secret in Launceston. And there's a couple really good restaurants in here, so we'll get some lunch or dinner. So this is focaccia with a pepperberry butter, and pepperberry is a Tasmanian, I don't know if you would call it an herb or a spice, but it's a berry that has this really kind of unique peppery flavor to it. It's really delicious, and it's a really common ingredient in like wild food menus that you can find in Tasmania.
And what do I have?
You have a single Tasmanian oyster. It's adorable.
Just one.
Just one.
Just one. Okay.
So the reason I brought you here to Elida is because I have worked with them in the past for exhibitions. So I've been doing these collaborative exhibitions where I work with different kind of food industry people, and I put on exhibitions that involve food in some way or drink. And so in the past I had an exhibition here up in the wine bar that was celebrating Tasmanian gemstones. So there's a food festival in Launceston called Northfest. I wanted to participate in that, but as a painter, it's not really food, so I partnered with these guys. And Rue, he's like an amazing cocktail maker, bartender. So what we did was I made a series of paintings of Tasmanian gemstones, and he made a matching series of cocktails. I chose this venue because it used to be a quarry, so the history of it kind of matched that kind of gemstone appeal. And the bar in the back, which maybe we can take a walk through after, the upper bar has a backdrop of rock. And so it really had this kind of like rocky quality that really matched exactly the gemstone. And I knew that Rue was a really good bartender, and I wanted to work with him. Thanks for visiting. If you're down in Tasmania, make sure you check out Launceston. See ya!